Blog Talk Radio.
Good to this segment of Live Without Limits. Today's show is titled, How Does Technology Impact Student Learning? Well, this is a very important topic for several reasons, not just because the pandemic showed us that we need to look at other options, but also because this is a trend that was already happening. For many years, it used to be that you went to webinars, you went to webinars, but you actually went to seminars where you got the physical books and you got the training from the speaker at the front of the room, and you got to actively take part in team building exercises. Well, it's a very similar pattern, but it's done online. And even before the pandemic, long before the pandemic, companies, or rather corporations especially, because they did not want employees to lose time away from work, already had instituted e-learning where employees could get the training on the computer at their desk simply because in between the learning process, they could get their work done so they didn't lose time. So until recently, teachers believed that the introduction of technology to education was impractical and would contribute to the deterioration of the quality of the educational process. Many teachers were convinced that the use of digital technologies would lead to a decrease in students' concentration, leading to difficulties with assimilation of educational material. Some evidence for these students was produced by researchers providing the use of mobile phones and laptops and could affect social interaction. Now, as a speaker for many years, I tried to get on with those seminar companies, and here was the way the seminar companies worked. They would go from city to city, putting on presentations, and they hired people as speakers and paid them $250 a day and a percentage of back of the room sales, which could add up to about $500 a day. That may seem a lot, but here's the factor. What if you look at the fact that for many speakers and trainers who came into this, they flew into that city on Sunday and had to be up and in that room by 7, 8 o'clock in the morning to make sure everything was set up correctly. Then at the end of the day, which usually was about 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, they then had to break down whatever was left over in the back of the room and box it up and make sure it was shipped back to the parent company. That could be maybe 7 or 8 o'clock. Then you had to get into your car and drive to the next city and do this every day until Friday evening. And then Friday evening, you flew home. So when you consider that their day had started at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning It didn't end to 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. $500 a day is not a lot of money. But when you do it from home and you do your training and you create your e-learning courses and they're all digital, well, what happens? You created it and it maybe have taken you 5 days to create it, but you can sell it over and over again and just tweak it every so often as new information comes in. And what happens? It's far more effective and earns you far more money than it did when you worked for the training companies. Plus, if you set it up in a membership site and then set up a sales funnel where you're creating ebooks, where you're offering upsells of coaching and mentorship and several other opportunities, then you can create a 6 to 7 figure income from just one product alone if you know how to work it correctly. And the best model to start with is a 5-day challenge that people attend for free. And you give them just enough information to wet their whistle so that they will want to purchase your upsells and pay you to get further training. Technology and students, a new approach. In recent years, the approach to understanding digital technologies has been rethought, and teachers have concluded that digital education can create new learning opportunities, including personalized training and new cooperation models. Besides, the range of innovative learning strategies for students is becoming wider. Technology in education is not just about the use of digital devices. It is a tool that facilitates interaction between the teacher and the student, increasing effectiveness and therefore the quality of the educational process. And there's 6 positive effects of technology in education. And the first one is that technology eliminates the classroom walls. Thanks to modern technology, the learning process can now take place outside the classroom. There are various applications such as Zoom and Microsoft Teams, which allow teachers to conduct lessons remotely. Effectiveness of this method of distance learning was proved in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, when teachers were compelled to move to an online model, allowing students to participate in lectures and colloquialisms without leaving their homes. And this is why, for so many speakers, trainers, coaches, that this model works so well, because small business people can earn a living putting out a whole lot of overhead. All it does is require time. And if you consider your time money, that's where the expense comes in. Although it's not actually anything that you have to put out as far as paying for something, unless you're the student taking the course. But even then, it's nominal, because when you consider as an adult going, and even though you're losing time from work, here's the factor: you're flying somewheres, you're spending 8 hours a day in there, especially if you're going for your association meetings. Now many of those things are done online, so you don't lose time from your family. And those speakers and trainers who would go out and leave on a Sunday night and not get back till Friday, and then really just have Saturday with their family and a half a day on Sunday, and then you're back out on the road again. It gives you the opportunity to gain quality time with your family. Technology provides students with easy access to any information or source. Nowadays, less learning material is available in libraries or stores, but thanks to the internet, every student has the opportunity to gain access to the required textbooks. With the use of digital copies, the learning process becomes more dynamic, and students are less likely to fall victim to boredom when they can easily link to various materials or resources. Additionally, digital textbooks allow the reader to highlight words, sentences, and paragraphs of interest, and to add notes directly onto the screen. The use of technology for project activities allows students to achieve significantly enhanced results. Technology enables teachers to implement new models of learning, one of the most popular being reverse learning. That involves the teacher allocating a topic for independent study and then testing students to determine the level of assimilation of the material. Discussions with the students follow so that all possible gaps in knowledge are covered. Here's the thing. None of us learn in a cookie cutter method. And with technology, you can actually take and go online and you can get a deeper research. You can keep digging until you're satisfied. Because if you're just doing the surface work, and you don't know to dig deeper or want to, then you're limiting your learning. But if you go beyond what's on the written page and really try to understand it, because let's put it this way, everyone learns at a different speed and a different level. And by doing it on your own, then you can far surpass what other students are doing. Back in the day, it used to be that kids who would excel went to an advanced class or go to a Montessori school where teaching was geared specifically to their level. That's why when you went to public school, you were only learning at the lowest level because teachers had to offer it at such a level that the weakest link could catch up with the classroom. And if they don't do it that way, then what happens is the weakest link may be left behind, but at least with technology on their own, they can get what they're not getting in the classroom. Whereas in the past, when you sat in the classroom and you listened to the teacher, you would go home and do your homework, and then you would go out and play. But now, if you have to, you can take a little bit of extra time. You can do what you literally need to do in order to get what it is that you need. Technology helps to ensure the active involvement of students in the learning process. Online surveys and other digital tools encourage students to engage with the learning process. This is especially helpful for those who are shy or hesitant to have difficulty taking the initiative. Digital technologies allow teachers to receive regular feedback. For example, by devising online questionnaires to collate data on student satisfaction, and analysis of this data is helpful to identifying any issues and directing teachers to provide assistance to those students most in need. Additionally, students' feedback, signposts, an area in which students can compete so that teachers can adjust group work accordingly. Even before the pandemic hit, what was happening? Well, this is one thing. You had computers in the classroom, and students would often listen to the lectures and teachers, then go to work on the computers. And then that allowed the teacher to work with each student individually so that they can get each student up to the level they need to be. And it also made it a lot easier so that everyone got what it is that they truly need out of the classroom. So even though we're talking about online learning and its importance, even before the pandemic hit, when it all was online learning, well, in the classroom, we were using computers in order to help slow students catch up with the other students. Technology allows teachers to automate or simplify the performance of their duties. Automation can simplify the execution of time-consuming tasks such as attendance tracking. As well, the use of electronic journals is to monitor student performance has become widespread, allowing both students and their parents to keep track of current grades. Modern technologies simplify the systemization and selections of individual tasks and help to track students' participation in classroom discussions. Most teachers now use video presentations during lectures. These presentations engage the students' attention and diversify the presentation of educational material. In addition, bonus is that they save teachers time and effort when preparing for classes. When we're talking about technology, I had a neighbor who was a teacher in special ed, and she would often create videos and engaging information for her students in addition to what was taught in the classroom, especially because for children with special needs who learn differently, you have to be able to provide the training in modules or in ways that they themselves can learn effectively. So, if you look at what you're doing and where you're at and pay attention, then all you have to do is realize that everything is learned in small chunks to begin with. Because look at it this way. You have an end goal. And for students that could be graduation at the end of a year or at the end of 4 years, but you're in high school and you're just starting your first year. Well, what do you need to learn that year? Well, if you take that and you look at that as one end goal, and then you break that into smaller activities like each course, each chapter, each page, each little whatever, then what's happening is you're breaking it down to smaller chunks. And when you're breaking it down to those smaller chunks, you're giving yourself the opportunity to digest it. And through it, here's the thing. So many times we get bogged down in the overwhelming stuff. But if you take it and break it down into one little thing, each little thing, whatever, then when it's all done, what happens? You've achieved your goal, but you were not overwhelmed while you were doing it. Technology trains students to work with sources. Most students are already familiar with the internet and have no difficulty learning the required sites. Very popular with students nowadays are essay writing services. And one of the most popular is writeyouressays.me. These sites aim to help people with essay writing, proofreading, and editing. They also publish numerous education and technology articles for students. It is clear that technologies expand methods of communication, create productive learning environments. For example, students can participate in social media forums that discuss academic issues, particularly useful when they are working for group projects. What is more, teachers can also take part in these conversations. Additionally, textbooks, notes, and links to online resources can freely be shared. This is literally why we need to accept what is going on in the technology world and just how it's benefited us. For so many of us, we look at technology as taking away jobs, when if we actually look at it as being able to expand, and all it's doing is changing job titles. Because today, a teacher has to be able to incorporate technology into the classroom and utilize it to help the students. Whereas in the past, they had to spend hours and days preparing each lesson and hope that everyone was at the same level and understood things. Now with technology, instead of just doing and going to the library and looking for books to study, you can actually get and find articles that are related that can give you far more information than you actually got from the classroom, and you can far surpass. Think about it. The children of today are far more advanced than their parents were in their knowledge, not just because they had Sesame Street, but they had things like those the games, the Xbox games, whatever. Those were little things that trained us with eye-hand coordination. For instance, let me back up a little bit. That for me, because I have a disability, how I learned was so different than the way I was being taught in the classroom. And I was educated before you had the Individual Disability Education Act, where education was geared specifically to my needs. So more times than not, because I couldn't get it in the classroom, I had to figure out a way to learn outside of the classroom, and did not really have parents who understood that I learned differently or how to gear education towards my needs. So their attitude was, oh, you're dumb, you're never going anywhere, you'll never go to college. And guess what? My father passed away about the time that I was entering college, and my mother used to sit there and tell me how I was going to fail, but in spite of what she said and what she did, I still got an associate's degree, I still got a bachelor's degree, and I still worked on a master's degree. So it's up to the individual to take things into their own hands and decide what they want to learn and how they're going to go about learning about it. And if you do that today, then you can be far more successful than you ever were in the past. The ability to use technology is a soft skill. The modern world requires everyone to have the basic skills to work in a digital environment. It is not just about the ability to work in PowerPoint or Zoom, but also the ability to use sites such as Google correctly. Acquiring digital skills also includes learning the etiquette of online communication, which is vital not only to aid learning, but also in informal, routine tasks. The same applies to cryptocurrency and the best crypto hardware wallet, both of which are becoming increasingly prominent. Digital skills are not just about being able to use convenient apps. They are now essential to education and therefore must feature in the forefront of educational systems. Technology can be a very effective educational tool, but it is only a tool. It is not intended to replace teachers or studying. Furthermore, digital technologies are not in the business of running the learning process. Quite the opposite. Their goal is to aid teachers to create the optimum learning environment. Used widely, technology can enhance the student experience and help them to achieve excellent results. This is why it's up to you to look at how you learn and see how you can incorporate the technology to literally help you when it comes to your business or how you do business or however you expand on the services that you offer. But digital learning is a way to reach the masses in almost every area of your life. So look at it as an opportunity. There are many e-learning platforms today. In fact, there's 3 of them that are only videos. And by my being on those platforms, I had the opportunity for companies who had e-learning platforms to find me that I'm on over 10 platforms today offering e-learning courses. Plus, I have a membership site which allows me to put my e-learning courses into that membership site and also gives me an opportunity to keep increasing the product that I have. And remember, you can go to my website, and that's the #1 personalcareercoach.com. And you can look for and look at if you're interested in a home-based business or you're looking for personal development opportunities.